Well, hello, my witchy cosmic friends. Welcome back to Everyday Magic. Well, welcome back to Walking in Magic. And this is Everyday Magic, a series that I'm doing for this week. Let me know if you're watching. You can hear me. We're live. I'm just going to go ahead and go with we're live. My name is M.A., Maria Aleandra, and what am I today? Oh my goodness, lots of things. How are you? How are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for experiencing the magic right along with me. It is a wondrous time to be alive. And this morning I woke up and I was like, I feel a shift. I feel the winds of change rustling. And I think it's because we're heading into this super powerful eclipse portal season. October has a lot of big magic and big transformational elements to it and that are part of its cosmic landscape. So the stage is set for big, big transformative changes. And really, it's like a new you is emerging. And we get to, and I was writing this morning in an email to my Everyday Magic group, which, by the way, you can join. The link is below. I have a ton of free, amazing resources and content. I'd love to have you in that space. So I wrote an email to that group this morning and also sent a message. We also have a chat on Telegram if you want to join. Again, the link is down there. You can get all the goodies there. I was saying how all of the elements of your imminent transformation are coded within you. I specifically use the example of imaginal cells, which are the cells that the caterpillar contains within its makeup that lie basically like dormant with this latent possibility that will emerge once it starts to become a butterfly in the chrysalis. They're called imaginal cells. I've always loved the metaphor of a butterfly. And as you go deeper into understanding the metamorphosis that happens within the chrysalis, it just adds to the beauty of the metaphor and how you feel it in your system. Because caterpillar, in its quest for transformation, it doesn't know it's going to become a butterfly, but it has these imaginal cells, which are coded with the information necessary to become a butterfly. So it goes into the chrysalis state and becomes absolute goo. It completely loses its form. And then it will form itself again as a butterfly. We're the goo. We're in the goo. We are the goo. We've been the goo. And I think when it comes to the transformation of our caterpillar into butterfly selves, it's lots of layers. If you're on the quest for self-knowing and self-development and you're understanding your magic as I am, then you probably get this just like I do. And you feel it. I see Minda, you feel it. Feel the new me. It's surprising, like finding a soul friend, sister that like landed in my soul. That's so beautifully expressed. Thank you for sharing that here. Thank you. So I have some coffee with a little bit of pumpkin spice in it because why not? Grab yourself something warm and delightful or cool and delightful and lean into this cozy corner of the internet as we talk about symbols and spells. The other thing that I realized this morning when I woke up is how ambitious of me to want to create basically like a half-hour video about symbols and spells. Now, I never intended to explore the entirety of symbols and spells because, oh my goodness, the waters are quite deep and mysterious and amazing and delicious. And working with symbols and working with archetypes is one of my favorite things to do. Symbols are the language of the soul. Through symbols, we can awaken dormant parts of ourselves and our psyche. Symbols are extremely powerful because they transcend cultures, language, barriers, borders, perspectives, everything. And they hold these threads of belief that go back thousands and thousands of years into, other realms of the unknown as well. Symbols are part of what can make us connect the spiritual and the material. And so I'm not intending to explore all of the different branches of symbols. We could sit here for hours and hours and have a whole, PhD program about symbols. But what I do want to do today is I want to inspire us or re-inspire us to notice the symbols, and even more importantly, to feel the energy and the frequency within symbols, to do what I call liminal listening. And liminal listening is when you are indeed listening in between the lines in the liminal spaces. What is the world trying to tell you? Through the language of the here and now. Our magic becomes real in action as you're walking through life. That's why I call it walking in magic. It's messy, it's mysterious, it's magnificent, it's miraculous, and it is just here and now. And so symbols create these little portals of connection that can trigger things in our memory from this lifetime, past lifetimes, trigger things that have to do with the collective. And they're a fantastic thing to bring into your magical practice, wherever you are in your sort of like journey of magical practice, just starting, or you're a seasoned witch, seasoned medicine woman or practitioner. It's a beautiful thing to note. I also wanted to make sure that I mentioned that we should not give away our power to anything, to symbols or signs specifically. And I want to touch on that because we hear this a lot, like, oh, I'm waiting for the sign. And notice I used symbols intentionally instead of signs. Signs are also magnificent. Signs from the universe. I love them. I wanted to focus on symbols for this. And I wanted to make sure that we are also very present to the fact that we're never giving away our energy and our power to anything. Any metaphysical tool, any candle, any oracle deck, any sage stick, anything, or sage bundle, palo santo stick, you know what I mean. You are not giving away your power to anything. You are using these elements as tools to connect with that soul information and to hopefully decode with your intentional practice, decode the messages that are already embedded in your soul that want to express themselves through your life, your creations. I call it turning your light into form. You, my friend, have a light print. I refer to your light print as the unique set of, it's who you are. It's basically the unique makeup of who you are. And it includes all of the information that you came equipped with in this lifetime at a soul level. It includes the challenges, the obstacles, the joys, the passions, the ideas, everything that you have within yourself. And your light print is unique to you. So when we are in the quest for decoding who we are, it's interesting to look at it like a light print. Another metaphor that I love to use, you'll notice I am very big on visual metaphors. I'm very visual. And symbols are important because they allow our brain to translate things that might be harder to understand in the 3D world. I hope let me know if this is making sense and what's resonating with you as you watch and listen. The other metaphor that I love to use is each of us is like a prism and we refract light. The light is pouring through us. This light source, this high vibrational energy of love is always wishing to come and radiate among us. But each of us becomes a prism that then refracts that light and does what a prism does, turns it into a rainbow, separates that one stream of light into colors. And while a rainbow is, has the specific 7 colors and what they are, etc., each of us has our unique set of colors in our rainbow that we then radiate out into the world. I see you, Minda. Thank you. She says light bulbs are coming on as you talk. So you're refracting light all the time. You're a prism. And all this light that wants to come through to bathe us in love and optimism and hope and possibility, in the elevation of all of us into just feeling a sense of freedom, wholeness, belonging, togetherness, connection. It's gotten really muddied over time, of course. And so we come in as a prism, and you have your own unique light print, your set of codes that you can then pass along to other people through your living self, through the things you create, through your the businesses you build, the books you write, the art you create, the poems that you write, and just the words that you say and the energy that you send out into the universe, into the world around you. We're constantly impacting our surroundings with our energy and our frequency. So as we're walking in magic, basically what we're doing is being very mindful of understanding and sensing energy in a more visceral way. It's a very primordial experience to really be in magic. We want to create a foundation so that when the inevitable challenges and wobbles and really hard things in life come at us and shake us, that there is a core that is unshakable. And if you're watching this, you're probably somebody that holds a deep, purposeful desire to make the world a better place, that you can then take the information coming through you and basically like translate it, refract it onto other people that will listen and be nourished by your own gifts. And we do this imperfectly and messily and beautifully and magnificently and all the things. So notice the symbols around you, but don't wait until the symbol or the sign to fall in your lap. I hear this a lot, like, oh, I've been waiting for that one sign, that one. And if that's you, notice, and there's no judgment around this. It's just like, interesting. If that's you and you've been waiting, what would it look like for you to actually decide yourself? To take the action, to do the thing, to, magic is basically our desire in action. It's our desire turned into reality. That's a beautiful quote from A Discovery of Witches, the book series and the television series, which I just happen to be watching now. Yes, I had not seen it. And my husband and I are watching it together, and we're loving it. And the fact that Jules is watching the series with me is blowing my mind to bits and pieces, because it wasn't that long ago. Rewind. I'm fast forwarding already. No timeline. Rewind 6-7 years. I was very much in the mystical, witchy closet. Like, I always had a very honest relationship with my husband, so he knew I had these magical inclinations, but I was so cautious about letting my magic spill out of me, because I thought nobody's going to take me seriously. They're going to think I'm crazy. I was very ruled by the things my mind wanted to sort of follow. And then my heart and my soul were like, I was a dreamer. I am a dreamer. I am a mystic. I am a channeler. I am an artist. And it's like all of these things were just bubbling underneath the surface. And I went through a period of so much anger and resentment. I can just feel it as I think back upon it. And all of that dissolved over time the more I leaned into my own magic. And then things around me began to shift and change. But we're working with really big cycles, so you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with yourself and just lean into the moments of what you're seeing right here in front of you. So back to A Discovery of Witches, I would have never imagined that I would be so watching it and having the conversations I'm having with my hubby a few years ago, because it wouldn't have been something that we shared. So back to symbols. I want you to get re-inspired to notice the symbols around you. When you find symbols that you find particularly intriguing and there's a curiosity about it that's sparking in you, follow that thread. Look at it as a golden thread of something that lights up, and then do some research. Google, find your way through the meaning of the symbol. And then what happens is, just like a thread, it'll lead you into something else and something else and something else. And you might get somewhere that you wasn't even seem to be connected to the symbol originally, but you got to a destination that made so much sense. And you're like, oh. So lean into following those symbols and the threads that they might provide. And don't get so caught up in them. Open mind, curious mind, laboratory of life mind, creatrix mind, which means that you are open and creating and experimenting as you go. No need for perfectionism, because it's just BS. So I want to move into spells because, again, ambitious me wanted to cram in symbols and spells in half an hour. And I also want to get to some of the questions that I've been asked as part of Everyday Magic. By the way, along with Everyday Magic in the portal that I created, which is all free this week, I have all these incredible downloads. I'm creating a companion PDF for each day. So this one is the one from yesterday where we talked about Sacred Sanctuary, and I wrote a blessing for your sanctuary and spaces and some journal prompts. It's a regular piece of paper. I just cut it in half so that I could put it in my A5 journal. Before pressing record on the stream, I pulled a tarot card and I asked the deck, just to give me a little bit of a symbol for this specific conversation. And I got the Two of Pentacles, which is very appropriate because the Two of Pentacles speaks of flexibility, of juggling a couple of different things, of multitasking, of the ability that we have to do different things at the same time, among some other things it represents. But I was like, this makes a lot of sense because symbols and spells, that's a lot. What I want to talk about in terms of spells is, first of all, if you've ever blown a candle, I see Tasha, a message about cats. Okay. Yes, there were a couple of, sorry to divert the conversation, but there were a couple of people asking about altars and cats. She's got some good ideas here. Fantastic. So make sure that you read the comments and check that out. Back to spells. If you've ever blown a candle on a birthday cake and made a wish, you've cast a spell. Welcome to the world of spells. Yes, we can all cast spells. Spells. What is the anatomy of a spell? And this is something I've been, really sitting with as I've been, my intention for this Everyday Magic series is to distill 8 years of my own magical path discovery, everything I've learned and studied, and into some bite-sized pieces of information. So, of course, the journey into spell work is another mysterious deep dive into this incredible world of possibility and of energy transformation. But what I will say is that spells are born from the belief that we can transform the energy within us and around us. Magic has to do with the movement of energy. And this is why when we cast spells and we cement our beliefs in certain things and sometimes bring other aids and metaphysical tools and things that can augment the journey, we can basically click ourselves into new belief systems and dissolve old ones. Spells are like a symbolic before and after moment. It's like an opening of a portal, right? You bring in the belief and the intention, and you bring in some materials and some ingredients, and then you have an incantation, basically. So the 3 basic pieces of a simple spell are your intention, your ingredients / materials, and your incantation, which is basically the words that you speak. Speak them out loud, speak them in your heart. Speaking them out loud has a certain power to them. Using our voice and magic is powerful. And if you're not able to do that, then you can write them down, or you can simply just hold them in your heart. So your intention is pivotal in creating and directing what that spell is. And again, if we look at the beautiful, oh so simple example of a birthday candle, your intention is to make a wish for yourself, a wish for someone around you. How many times have you made a wish, that one wish that you get on your birthday, to support somebody else, to support something else in your life that needs some love? So the intention is something that you believe gets to shift, right? In this case, the ingredient or the material is a candle, a lit candle. And then the incantation is the wish you've made. And in this particular case, traditionally, You can close your eyes and keep the wish close to your heart, and you don't share it with anybody else. That's also part of the beauty of magic. Is magic is such an intimate thing that when you allow yourself to open up and blossom to that magic and that intimacy with yourself, you will get to know yourself in deeper ways, because magic allows us to go like in and really understand our desires, our motivations, our fears. It is a path that takes a lot of courage when you intend to really dedicate yourself to the practice of working your magic and working with the energy around you. And it is, I think, one of the most rewarding things, because it is everlasting. It is ever unfolding. You bloom and then you bloom again, and then you bloom again, and then you bloom again. And then, old dreams die and new dreams are born, and old forms of you die and new forms are born. And it's just like, it continues on. And the way we see the world around us be impacted is really, really profound. Your imagination plays a really big role. And imagination is something that's been cast off and has been cut off from us because, imagination is just for kids, or that's not real. And I want to put a pin on this, because one of the things that I love sitting with and pondering is all the ways that we have been cut off from the source of our own magic, sense of self-worth, confidence, trust in ourselves, courage, all these things that reflect in the very real lives that we lived, and the ways we move ourselves forward. All of these things have been somehow cut off and crimped. And so we are now dismantling, detangling, shifting a whole lot of a big kind of mess of you're not worth fill in the blank, whatever the story is for each of us. We're dismantling a lot of that in order to have the willpower, which is also a very magical way of looking at the world, to create new worlds and impact the world through our gifts. And this is very real. And it's also in the realm of your imagination. We are drawn to magic in books and movies and items and, from Harry Potter to unicorns to mermaids to fairies to just all these mystical things. Some of us more than others, are drawn to them because they contain some seeds of truth, primordial seeds of the never-ending possibility that we hold within us. The challenge becomes that those incredible seeds are deposited in this earthly realm where we do have the perception that there are, and this is very real, this is part of walking in magic, there are limitations and there are challenges, and we're working on our magic surrounded by other people that may not get us. We're working with, perceiving different energies and things, just basically being in a world where we feel like we have to keep ourselves compartmentalized. And my intention as I continue to do my work and share and create spaces for us to gather is that we feel a sense of more safety around sharing who we really are, so that you can gain the freedom of being your true self. Magic is a gateway that opens up spaces of freedom to be your true self. So honoring our imagination is pivotal. I once had a mentor that said, imagination is your image nation. And I was like, wow. So this is the place where ideas are born. When you hear the phrase, it's only in your imagination, take a breath and just recalibrate yourself and understand what your own belief systems are. This is part of the path of knowing who we are. And fighting against it may not necessarily be the right use of our energy. I'd say, if you feel like it, go for it. I'm a little less confrontational than that. So I like to go within and like recalibrate myself before I go out and share. Um, but imagination is pivotal. Minda says, how do you open to imagination? So I think the first really good question, I would say the first barrier, and I'll use my own example, is as I started to open up more to my magical, mystical abilities, I always had a sense since I was a little girl that there were things that I was like picking up. And then we grow up and things shift and we, get like a dose of reality and we go our different paths. But it always kept calling me back. And I was always very drawn to the world of imagination. And that is a thread that stayed with me. I mean, look at my hair. It's like I'm in that world. I've allowed that world to permeate more of my life and feel more of that freedom to be in that space. And I always had this challenge of, and I remember once working also with another coach, and I was like, how do I know what's my imagination and what's like a real thing that I'm channeling or I'm picking up on or I'm perceiving? And I had to sit in that space for a while. And the way that I was able to honor and open up to my imagination more and really see it as a beautiful like influx of information instead of just like a little bubble of like, oh, but that's over there and I'm over here, was to try out lots of different things and take some chances. I think we must take chances when it comes to, again, bringing our light into form. So chances in terms of maybe, putting myself in containers and places and opportunities that I could practice what I was feeling. Because the more I held it back, the more resentment I built. And I was angry and I was frustrated and there wasn't anything, sort of regular life things going on, but I had this sense of frustration, and it's because all of that was just underneath the surface getting ready to like be uncorked. And the more I allowed myself to be in that space, and again, through practice and through being in spaces that I could talk about it, that I could connect with other people that maybe were thinking the same thing or feeling the same thing. And then the process of distilling, oh, what is that? What is the thing that's coming through that's unique for me? Which is always an expression of the collective as well. Again, because you're like a prism refracting the light for others to pick up on. And owning it more and more. Owning my magic, my imagination, my intellect, my ideas. Understanding my astrology chart was huge for me because I got some really good pieces of information there that made sense around who I was and what my soul desired that my mind couldn't wrap itself around maybe. And that gave me a lot of, gave me some validation to give myself permission to keep on the quest. So I hope that was supportive. So when we work within the realm of spells, try different things. The other important thing to always hold dear about magic is that its intention is for the highest good of everybody involved. Magic doesn't control, magic doesn't judge, magic doesn't hurt. Magic is an expression of love and light. It is an expression of possibility and optimism. And so magic also has this energy of acceptance, of tending to the world around us, of connection. And we can certainly use magic to create beautiful boundaries that protect our own energy. And absolutely. But we are never intending to control or cause harm. That is just sort of a universal experience of what I, believe that we should hold dear as sort of a tenet for when we work spells and when we want to create and transform the energy around us. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions that I got from Everyday Magic. Thank you for the questions I've seen here. And please keep them coming. I'm doing another video tomorrow and then Friday, right? Yes. Tonight, by the way, I'm doing a Zoom chat thing. If you're watching this live, awesome. Maybe you can make it. If not, then we'll have another opportunity to connect. Um, and lots of good things happening over again in everyday magic. I'm really proud of what I'm creating, and it feels like a little girl playing in this like sandbox where every day is like, oh, I'm really delighted to put things to manifest all of these things. And it felt like a big undertaking because I was like, I will be honest with you. I was like, that classic question, who am I to? Who am I to talk about magic when I was like, I've only been doing this for good chunk of years, and I think my entire life and probably many lifetimes before, because that's what it feels like. But I still had this hesitation around, I don't know if I'm the one to do this. And I had to really have the clarity and the mental fortitude, I want to say, to move through a lot of those mindset. It's like little mines that explode in your minds, and that tell you don't go there. And I had to really have a mental fortitude to like breathe through every moment and walk through it. And I share this because if it's happening to you in a certain way, and I'm pretty sure it is, because I've talked and coached and read for enough incredible, powerful women and men, some men, mostly women, to know that we all have, especially those of us that are up to big, like beautiful, juicy things in the world. We have that in common. We're like, no, who am I to? And again, what I shared this morning that I feel in my bones is that story of who am I to fill in the blank. We have to consciously dismantle it. We have to consciously like move through it in order to create the new things and the new worlds and the new realities that are going to shake up humanity and catalyze new things. And remember, like I tell all the people that I get to work with, we are working with really big cycles. So have patience with yourself, and you must just continue. You gotta just like literally one foot in front of the other, one breath after breath, moment after moment. Don't give up on yourself. Excuse me for the cough. Do not give up on yourself. So one of the questions I got from a couple of people is how I started and what brought me here. And maybe I'll do another video with a little bit more detail. But I kind of addressed that in this video as well. So I'm not going to totally go over it again, but it was a nudge. It was a nudge. It was a soul nudge that just followed me, called me. The magic was like just in me, and it was like corked. And I expressed it in some ways, but it was always very solo. And I had a corporate job that I held for nearly 16 years. I worked for a television network. I started as a coordinator in the marketing department, and I rose to senior director of marketing and branding within that company. And I worked in that place until 2018, basically right out of college and up until 2018. And that was my world. I was in a corporate world. And the classic story of, and let me know if this is you as well or was you, of there's something else. There's so much more. There's something else I'm meant for. What am I doing here? What am I doing sitting under these fluorescent lights? And thankfully now things have shifted in the world where we get to, many of us, even if you're in a corporate space, get to work from home. So I think that alleviates some of the, oh my God, the like energy disruption that happens in corporate spaces. When the energy is not properly cared for, by the way, if you have a corporate space and you'd like some support in properly caring for the energy there for thriving people, let me know. But that was me. And I was great at my job. I was, getting paid a decent salary, not more than the men, of course, because hello, patriarchy. But I was getting paid a decent salary and really tried my best to climb the corporate ladder and grow. Then in early 2018, it was February 2018, I was laid off. There was some cuts that were done across the company. So my position was eliminated. And it was a moment of, and by the way, I had the inkling that that would happen, even though there were no like obvious signs. I had a very deep knowing that something was shifting course very powerfully. And it did. And it was like, oh, another um, validation point for me of my intuitive knowing. So I was laid off. And at that moment, I had a choice. And I thankfully had a little bit of a cushion because I'd worked in the company for so long that I could take a couple of months to sort of like pause and redirect myself. And I made two decisions. One decision is that I wasn't going to apply to any other jobs. And that was a very risky move because I loved the idea of maybe becoming an entrepreneur and doing my own thing, but I was very afraid of it and afraid of not being able to follow through on my ideas because I'd had so many things I wanted to do before in my life that I didn't follow through on. So I was like, I don't have any guarantees that I will follow through. So I had to make a decision to close a lot of doors and say no to a couple of jobs that were offered to me and say a very clear no, shaking my boots and butterflies in my stomach, but I said no. And then the other decision is that I would be open to the idea of getting myself to a point where I would follow through on what I intended, that I would bring a new level of commitment into my life. I'm a multi-passionate person who likes to try lots of different things. And if you've followed me over the past few years, I've loved creating things and putting them out in the world and seeing if they stick, and some do and some don't. And I've learned over time to pay less attention to the metrics of failure and success and feel into other metrics. But basically at the time I was like, I had to shift. And so I started this path where I began to get to know myself in a deeper way. And I went into what I called soul school, my own soul school. And I was very deliberate and intentional about learning more about what I truly desired. And then it was like layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of maybe it's this and moving myself. It was like all of these stepping stones that brought me to where I am now. And there will be many more stepping stones that keep taking me forward. But there were certain points where it was like stepping stones on a lake that landed me on an island where I was like, okay, I'm meant to be here for a little bit, learn what's in this island, do some things, build some things. And sometimes I honestly felt like, all right, I'm here. This is the island. Hello, welcome. This is my life. And then something else, another like stepping stone would pop in and I would get like kind of pushed in that direction. And I would go, oh, okay. And it was like kind of starting all over again, but not really, because you've built a foundation of all of these things you've learned and moved through and walked through in your life. So, okay, taking whatever wisdom I had already gained and then another stepping stone, following that path, leaning into intuition, surrendering into a lot of moments that felt scary, but I chose to make decisions from vision rather than the circumstances around me. And I would land on another island and the same thing repeated itself. And I've landed on enough of these islands to know that there are many more to come. I'm excited for them. I don't tie myself down to any one particular like thing that I do. I'd rather be in a sort of exist in a frequency. And this is why magic feels so delightful to me and so all-encompassing. Because when I have these powers and this understanding of my inner power, and I trust myself, then no matter what stepping stone or future little island I pop into, I know I can keep going and learn what I need to learn and release what I need to release. Another big thing that has gotten me where I am in this particular moment right now is my husband was diagnosed with a terminal illness 3.5 years ago. He's a warrior through and through. He has ALS, which is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's a very fast-moving disease that basically makes your body lose function by function by function over a very fast period of time. And so from March 2020 up until now, we have been living in that particular story and moving through the unimaginable. And we've done so with feeling every emotion in the book, all the spectrum of emotions. And I've also learned how to gather a whole new sense of strength from within me. I have become so much more present to the magnificence and the frailty of life. And my magic has only become stronger and clearer. And my magic is a reflection of me. So I've become stronger. I've become clearer. I've become more flexible, more malleable, and but steadfast. And I have many moments that take my breath away in not a great way, but like really feel like I'm just like, how am I going to continue doing this? I've been my husband's main caregiver from the beginning, which meant we had to shift a lot of things in our lives. And now I'm in a moment where emotionally, mentally, and physically, because we have just started receiving some more support that helps my husband through the days, basically 10 to 5. We have somebody here that helps me. I've been able to step out into the world and do more of what I used to do that I love. But now it's like cranked up many, many notches. My powers have grown, and I'm very, very happy to continue using them for good. I've become really good reader, a really good channeler, and I'm still growing and by leaps and bounds, but I've really, really grown. And a lot of it has been through understanding who am I under the harshest conditions. And so when I tell you that magic is something that you can interlace in your life, no matter what, as a caregiver to somebody who's been living with ALS, I can pretty much guarantee that that's real and true and can be for you. And I say that with zero hesitation because I've lived through the hardest. And we all have stories that we're moving through and quests that our soul has chosen in this lifetime. So, yeah. And now I'm here. I've been liminal listening, following the nudge, taking chances, leaning in, leaping in, getting supported, getting coached, reading books, trying things, creating things, falling flat on my face, having failures, having successes, taking chances. I think I've said that a few times. That's pivotal. So yeah, let me read the comments here. Nova says, yes, exactly. Yes, I always had the question growing up at home, at church. And let's see. Oh, maybe about imagination. And then Tasha says, imagination can be sparked by art, seeing and making it. Music inspires, candle gazing, water gazing are good paths to imagination. Play with kids, reading, dreams, tarot, other cards, open imagination. 100% beautifully said, Tasha. Thank you for that. That to me is the role of everything that Tasha said, which we can look through the eyes of magical and just looking at the essence of things and the curiosity and wonder of a child, and metaphysical tools, like oracle cards and tarot, and even art as a vehicle for metaphysical information and experiences open up the doorway to imagination. That's why we love the use of cards, for example, or runes, or any one of these tools, is because they truly open, they allow your mind to park itself, and they allow your soul to be inspired and triggered by the symbols and the things that you pick up. And so it's one of the most amazing vehicles to open to your imagination and to not look for a certain answer to something, but be open to what might emerge. Anne says, "Ma, you're strong, you're beautiful." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Nova says, sitting in nature or sitting on the beach with my eyes closed, breathing the sea air. Yes, absolutely. So, my friends, I'm going to wrap this up now. We've been chatting for a little bit. I hope to see you over in the Everyday Magic space. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, all the good things. Thank you for walking this path with me. It is an honor to sit with you and have these conversations. I hope to see you tomorrow. And I have a couple of awesome bonus conversations also in Everyday Magic. I spoke with Kim from Fable's Den. She's the creatrix of a few Oracle decks that are incredible. And she's someone who's really inspiring because she's made a lot of cool things happen. And that's in the portal over there. And if you want to learn how to work with me, just send me a message or look me up on my website and we can have a conversation about what magical things we can create together. Having said that, I wish you an incredible day ahead. All my love and stardust. See you next time. Adios.